All right, everyone, welcome back to another video. Finally, we're here to talk about an Indianapolis Colts win. The last 2 weeks were rough, losing to both the Texans and Packers. Last week's loss to Malik Willis was just embarrassing, to be honest. I get that it was an away game, and sure, the Packers have a solid team, but there's no excuse for how bad we were, especially on offense. The defense wasn't any better, allowing over 270 rushing yards, but the offense really needed to step up. Now, against the Bears, things started to look better. We managed to put up 20 points, which is definitely a step in the right direction. But Anthony Richardson's interception near the goal line? That was tough to watch. And his second pick? He just overthrew the wide receiver. Richardson only completed 10 of his 20 throws, and those misses were pretty bad. But we have to be patient. He's the youngest starting quarterback in the league right now. The fact that we beat a Bears team with such a solid roster says something. I mean, their offensive line isn't great, but overall they've got talent, especially for an NFC team. This win was crucial for the Colts. If we had lost, our playoff hopes would have taken a huge hit, especially in the AFC. So, we'll gladly take the win. Richardson also had 24 rushing yards, and it's exciting to see how much the offense can open up with him out there. His speed adds a whole new dimension. Take that read option play, for example. Everyone went for Jonathan Taylor, who had 110 rushing yards, but Richardson kept it and made a solid gain. That's the kind of play that gives me hope for where this team is headed. The first couple of weeks were definitely a learning experience, but I think the highs we're going to see with Richardson will make up for the lows. He had some really impressive moments, like that 44-yard throw to Alec Pierce, just flicked it off his wrist and sent it 50 yards downfield. That's the kind of raw talent we're dealing with. Granson also had a great 40-yard catch, but overall, the passing game has been pretty quiet these first few weeks. Richardson's accuracy just isn't there yet. He's got a big arm, probably the biggest in the game right now, but he still needs to figure out how to control it. You can see the inconsistency, especially on high throws, which we saw in the preseason as well. That said, we did a good job of leaning on Jonathan Taylor. We didn't let Richardson throw too much, only 20 attempts compared to Caleb Williams' 52. Taylor was without a doubt the MVP of this game, with 23 carries for 110 yards and 2 touchdowns. Trey Sermon even got in late with 2 carries for 16 yards and a touchdown. Shout out to Richardson for helping push Sermon into the end zone. That's the kind of gritty play we need. There was also that creative play where Richardson faked right, then threw left to Taylor on a screen for a 25-yard catch. It's clear the offense still has a lot of room to grow, especially with Richardson's accuracy issues. But with his talent, we're going to see some incredible plays along the way. Now, if we had a veteran like Joe Flacco, would we be a better team right now? Honestly, maybe. Flacco would bring more stability, but Richardson's potential is off the charts, and I think we need to stick with him and ride out the ups and downs. The future is bright if we can stay patient, but obviously the potential with Anthony Richardson is so high that you have to let him play and make mistakes so he can grow. Eventually, he'll clean up those errors. It's easy to forget, but he's only 22 years old, the youngest starting quarterback in the league. To put it in perspective, he's even younger than Caleb Williams, the expected number 1 pick in this year's draft. Richardson didn't have much experience coming into the NFL. He had something like 8 starts at Florida, maybe 12, but not a lot either way. In high school, he barely played quarterback, or football in general. This is a guy who just needs reps, and that's why I'm glad he got some preseason action. It gave him a chance to start learning. So far, though, the passing game has struggled. Over the first 3 weeks, it just hasn't clicked. There have been some big plays, but against the Packers, they took those away, and that's why the offense struggled so much. In this game, we leaned heavily on the run with 33 carries. I still can't believe Caleb Williams threw the ball 52 times for 363 yards. That's insane. But he also took 4 sacks. On defense, we have to give credit to Latu for his strip sack, which might have been the play of the game. If he hadn't made that play, the Bears could have driven down the field and won. Jalen Jones also deserves credit for his 2 interceptions and 5 tackles. Zaire Franklin had an incredible game with 15 tackles, EJ Speed had 12, and Nick Cross had 10. At the start of the week, Cross was leading the league in tackles, which might have changed, but still impressive. Kenny Moore also had a strong game with 8 tackles, and although it doesn't show in the stats, he had some good pass defenses. Sure, he got beat by Romo D in the corner of the end zone, but that was a perfect throw. Not many corners can keep up with a receiver like that across the whole field, so I don't put that on Kenny. Just better offense beating better defense. On the other hand, I was disappointed with Adonai Mitchell. He didn't have a single catch in this game, even though he was wide open late. Richardson tried to float the ball instead of throwing it on target, and that's when confidence becomes an issue. After missing open receivers earlier, he hesitated, and instead of firing a direct pass, he lobbed it. The defender almost intercepted it but managed to bat it away. Richardson has made mistakes, but the key is not letting those mistakes mess with his head. He can't let one bad play affect his future decisions, or it's going to hurt the team. We're still waiting for Richardson to have that breakout game. There were flashes. The second half against the Rams was incredible, and the first two drives against the Texans last season were great. But we haven't yet seen that one game where Richardson just takes over. Right now, we're still seeing moments, not the full performance. But then, a couple of plays later, there's an interception or a bad decision, and we just have to live with the results. Even though Anthony Richardson is hurting the team right now, I still believe he's going to be a very good quarterback. He just needs to work through these struggles, watch the tape, and improve, and he will, eventually. If you look at Richardson's stats compared to Josh Allen at this point in their careers, they're almost identical. Even Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck had similar numbers early on, especially with interceptions and touchdowns. You wouldn't think it, but those guys made a lot of mistakes too. Now imagine Richardson improving his accuracy, mastering the quick passing game, and adding his running ability to that. He's going to be something special. The Colts just need to stay patient and keep believing in him, and it seems like they do. One of the writers covering the Colts mentioned that the locker room is fully behind Richardson. Head coach Shane Steichen even took accountability for the loss against the Packers, which shows the team is supporting Richardson. That has to feel good for him, especially when you see how harsh people can be on social media. Whether it's Colts fans or general football fans, the comments about Richardson can get really ugly. It's going to be a long season, but at least we got this win. Honestly, we could be 3-0 right now. We had a chance with the Hail Mary in week 2, and in week 1, we just couldn't stop Joe Mixon. But this time, we got the win, so here we are at 1-2. Looking ahead, I don't even know who we're playing next. Hopefully, it's a team that isn't doing great. Oh wait, we're at home against the Pittsburgh Steelers, then we have 2 divisional road games, at Jacksonville and at Tennessee. It's crucial we win that Steelers game and get to 2-2 because going 1-3 and then heading into 2 tough road games isn't a good situation. This win against the Bears was a must-win. Starting 0-3 would have crushed our playoff chances. But the Texans lost today, the Titans lost, and the Jags play on Monday against the Bills, which I think they'll lose. So, we're only 1 game behind the Texans. Not too bad, right?